Okay, let's go ahead and start. Okay, so I want to say hello to everyone. My name is Michelle Ann, and I am with the master's course. I am a master executive coach. I'll tell you just a little bit about my background. I've studied neuroscience. My postgraduate work is in neuroscience at Harvard University, as well as leadership at Harvard. My undergraduate is in psychology and philosophy, and I have also worked at the American Institute of Stress with stress mastery. I think this is a very foundational element that we all need in order to be more successful in our careers and in our lives, to master stress. So I have had 30 years of corporate experience in leadership and team development coaching, which is something I absolutely love. I work all over the world with clients, and I help people through neuroscience coaching to create new possibilities and take you really to the next level. That's what I do. So let's go ahead and start. Okay, here is what everybody is waiting for. We're going to talk about the neuroscience of stress, and this is a master series. So this is not for, this is going to be a presentation that is going to be a little bit deep. We're going to go into the neuroscience a little bit and how to literally rewire your brain. So that is what we're going to go through. Thank you for coming. And I'd love for everybody to go ahead and put in the chat box, if you could, tell me where you are right now. If you're in Denver, if you're in your home office, just go ahead and tell me where you are. Tell me where you're coming in from. This is a worldwide presentation. So with 94 people, we had some people register in all different countries. There were probably 7 different countries that I saw registered. So go ahead and type in the chat box, if you will, where you're coming in from. And also, where are you? Are you in your kitchen? Are you in your home office? Are you going for a walk? Go ahead and type in the chat box and let me know where you are right now. Anybody get that chat box open? Let me know. Oh, cool, backyard. Sofa, Lakewood, Seattle, okay, Denver, Centennial. Denver, Seattle, Florida, New York City, Arvada. Great, we have people from all over. Let's see. Okay, so is everybody hearing me and seeing me okay? Is everybody hearing me? Can somebody type in the chat box? Is everybody hearing me and able to see me okay? Yes, okay, good. Got a couple people. Okay, perfect. Yes, okay, great. So where are you? So what I want to do is I want to, we're going to lead you through, a lot of the classes I teach, almost all of them are going to be 50% hands-on. So as I ask you where you are, this is a tactic that I'm using. And I'm using this to actually slow you down. I want you to know like where you are. When you tell me where you are, you're telling yourself and your brain where you are. And you have to slow down to realize you're not somewhere else. And I want you to kind of just be right where you are right now. Okay, so wherever you are, if you're in your home office, whatever city you're in, that's great. So we're telling our brain where we're at, and we're kind of slowing down to do that. So we're going to start to use all of these tools and techniques as we go. And here we go. The first thing I want to talk to you about is I've done a lot of research on this. We've had the most significant drop recorded in history of employee engagement worldwide, as well as in the US. And this will have a significant bottom line consequence. And we're now at 15% engagement. And I want you to think about that yourself. What would you say your engagement or your productivity level is right now? Is it more than 50%, less than 50%? How much are you actually doing and how much do you want to be doing? Okay, like how much, where do you feel you're at? Where do you want to be? Because in this presentation, I want to use stress to trigger success. And I want you to understand how the brain interprets that. Okay, so somebody says less than 10%, at least 70%, 75%, okay, greater than 50, 75, overdrive, okay? And so this is really important to know and to tell your brain where you're at. If the worldwide average is 15% done by Gallup in June, it's amazing. I mean, I know it's a month later, but it's probably still about the same. So where are you and where do you want to go? Now we're going to use stress to increase your performance because that's what I'm about as an executive coach. Wild fluctuations, I like this, of engagement and lack of motivation. I like this. And so you just have to be honest, because if you're honest with yourself, that's the only way we can start to make changes. Okay. And I think a lot of people are having wild fluctuations. I don't think that's uncommon. We can have a good day and a bad day. And it's very usual, especially on a Monday nowadays, to wake up and just not be able to be motivated. So I want to teach you how to, through the neuroscience, how to rewire your brain to use this stress and to get motivated. That's my job. Okay, so here we go. What I want to do next is I want to tell you that US adults' life evaluations have now matched historic lows. What that means, if we interpret that or just say that in plain English, is that most Americans, okay, feel that their life has never been at a lower point. Well, that would match, okay, a low engagement. That would match a low performance. That would match a low productivity. It would match conflict, inner conflict, external conflict, okay? So US adults' life evaluations, historic lows. That's the Gallup poll. Now, next I have the American Psychological Association. Most Americans say this is the lowest point in history. So they're saying the same thing. In fact, Gallup said 77%, and American Psychological Association says 72%. Okay, this was done in June. If you see this, June 2020, 72% of the people. So 28% feel that their lives are going good. 72% say they're going bad. And I think we've seen this. People are more irritated. They're harder to be motivated. I've noticed people gaining weight, just creating conflict all over the place. So this is stress in America, and this is vastly going to affect your performance, your success in the bottom line in any major company, any company, small or big. What we want to do is we want to start to change that. I want to give you a little bit about my background. I am a virtual first responder at the Harvard Medical School Teaching Hospital, and I'm helping people, first responders, with stress and overcoming things. I'm an executive coach at the Mayo Clinic. I've worked with the Forest Service for about 10 or 12 years. I work with the American Institute of Stress, writing articles and teaching classes for them. I also work with a lot of family law companies and law firms, like Holland & Hart is one, and I help people use stress, preparing for trial, things like that, and overcoming that stress when they're presenting to try to win their case. I've been on 9 News and 9 Health. I've worked with some elite athletes of the US Olympic team. I work with the Denver Metro Chamber of Commerce, and I'm a national speaker. That's a little bit about my background, so you know who I am and where I'm coming from. Okay. Now here I want to tell you, we want to make this interactive, and the best thing to make this interactive is to ask you a few questions. What is something that you want? Okay, and you can put it in the chat box. I want you to put this in context if you can, but is there something that you want right now? What's something that you want to be different? Who do you want to be? What is something that you want? And I'm trying to get your brain started and motivated to see what you want to achieve and where we're going to go. So actually put in the chat box, if you would, what's something you want? You really want. Go ahead and type in the chat box. Okay. Is there something that you'd really like? Something to change, something that you want out of life? Stress and anxiety relievers. I want to find what makes me happy. That's fantastic. Okay. Harness the energy I'm wasting by being stressed out and use it for something productive. I love that. That's what I'm here to do, Kyle. So I will teach you that. Consistency in work life, variety in personal life. I love that. To begin to travel again. This is a really popular answer in some of the classes I'm teaching. These are great answers. Something you really want. Now I want you to ask yourself, and you don't have to type this in the chat box, job security for me and my staff. Oh, I love that. How to create enough time from non-productivity to really make a dent on the book I intend to write. That's great. I want you to ask yourself, when you're coming up with this, and it's to be interactive and to get something out of this course right here, this 45 minutes, I want you to actually do these exercises as I'm asking you to do these. What is something you want? Where is that coming from? When I'm asking you what you want, is it coming from your head? Is it coming from within your chest, your belly? Like, where is it coming from? And you can put it in the chat box. What is the something you want? Where is it coming from? Can you tell? Inside your body, where is it coming from? Your head and your heart. Okay, that's great. Your belly. I love that. okay, your belly, your heart. I want to be of service, to be engaged in my work, joyful, my heart and very core belly. Okay, that's great. My head, the fear of the unknown. We're going to talk about this. Chest, gut, stomach. Now this is interesting. So I'm going to tell you that the brain is wired from the bottom up. What that means is when you find something that you want, if it's coming from your gut or your stomach or your chest, that means it's intrinsic, and that is something that's going to start to motivate you. So that's something that's going to rewire your stress response. When you find something that you really want, even if it's to get over a fear of the unknown, if that's something you really want, can you feel it in your belly? Where is it? And it's interesting that everybody is responding with what they want, and it's coming from, a lot of them are coming from the gut or chest or within your body, your torso. And that's really important, because that's going to be motivating, and that's going to trigger a dopamine response in your brain, which is that get up and go and that energy to do it. Okay. So when I ask you something that you want, I want you next, you can write this question down, and this is also recorded. And there's lots of free resources at the end of the class. I want you to put this in a context, like put it in HD, like you want that, but where are you doing it? And we're going to, as we go through these slides in the next 30 minutes or 40 minutes, I'm going to keep asking you questions, and I'm going to help you define this and rewire your stress response. Okay. Here's the course agenda. We're talking about the neuroscience of stress, but actually very importantly, we're going to use stress to increase our success, not just engagement. That's just a statistic that we have out there, but we're going to use a brain change framework called S.W.A.T, which is traditionally known as special weapons and tactics. But I have revamped that to use it for stress. At the end of the class, there's going to be free resources. I'm going to show you a website where you can download those, and they're free to everyone. Okay. So that's going to be at one of the last couple slides. So I want you to understand stress. Neuroscience shows stress that magnifies any existing problem. So if you ever understand that you're stressed, any other problem is going to seem bigger when you're stressed. Okay. Stress is unconscious. It is contagious, and it's fear-inducing. These are actual facts. This is scientific fact. If you're stressed about one thing, it's going to magnify any other problem or any existing problems in your way. You're literally seeing through almost colored glasses, and you're seeing your life through that stress. So it's very important to learn how to rewire that, because that has a lot to do with your success in life in any area of your life. Okay. We want to use stress as a doorway. And I want you to start to think about it this way. Stress is a doorway to growth, brain change, and moving towards your goals. It's really important that you understand this. When you're stressed, it's showing you something is out of alignment, and to be aware that there's something out of alignment helps you make a change, become aware, and start to adjust so that you can move towards your goals in another way. So stress is a doorway, and it's something we can use to change our relationship with the world and everything around. So I have done probably 20 some years of study on happiness and stress, motivation and success, also failure. And this is what we're coming down to. Stress is a doorway to growth, brain change, and moving towards your goals. Okay. The neuroscience behind stress, and I want to walk very slowly through this. I'm not going to go very deep into the neuroscience, but I do want to show you the neuroscience and have you understand it, okay, at a very base level. The amygdala, it's this little part in the center, the bottom little circle at the bottom of this orange area. The amygdala sends its initial stress signal in the brain. Okay, it sends a signal in the brain, and it sends that signal when you perceive that something is going to attack you. You perceive there's a threat, or you perceive that the demand in life is over your capacity. Those are two things that scientists agree on, the definition of what stress is. So I'll repeat those. The amygdala is this little area, and when it feels that there's a perceived threat, the key word is perceived. When there's a perceived threat, okay, that something is about to attack you, there's some kind of threat like that, or the demand is over capacity, it starts to send this signal in the brain, the amygdala, okay? So that's gonna happen. The next thing that's gonna happen is there's this threat, and I put this on a timeline for you. So your initial brain response is unconscious. So this unconscious reaction happens in the gut, and it happens in 0.2 milliseconds. And we have actually come to find that there are neurons in the gut, in the heart, and in the brain. Okay, so the gut has these neurons. It's responding in 0.2 milliseconds, and it does something. There's a fast thinking that goes on that's unconscious, and it has to do with intuition. Your intuition tells you something's wrong, and it starts to connect with mirror neurons of other people. Everything starts to cue. 0.2 milliseconds. Now, this is before you've even had a thought. So there's some kind of threat. Now, let's put this in context. If you've ever walked into a room and you have actually felt there's a lot of tenseness in the room, or you felt the room is full of excitement, that happens before you even know what's happening in your brain. You haven't even had a thought about it. So you have this intuition, there's a feeling, there's mirror neurons connecting. So some people are excited or they're stressed. You walk into the room, your mirror neurons connect to theirs, and you have a sense of what's happening. Now, this brain response is great, okay? Your stress response is actually there to protect you. If there's something that's happening that's not good, your brain's gonna tell you that, and it's gonna have you respond by fleeing, like fight or flight, something like that. So it's gonna read the situation, and it's based on your survival. Okay, so this unconscious response is happening. The mirror neurons connect, there's an intuition. Now, when you walk into the room, what happens next in the amygdala, it sends a stress response at 0.4 milliseconds, again, before there's a thought, okay? You don't know what's happening, but it sends this stress response. So this is a neurochemistry that actually starts to flood your body. And let me talk you through this. Your language center is affected. Your emotions are affected. Your memory and your focus. So let's just walk through this. You walk into a room and there's some tenseness. Immediately, you lose focus on what you were thinking about, and all of your attention starts to focus on what's going on here. What happens in the brain is it actually accesses the hippocampus, which is the long-term memory. So we're gonna go to the memory area. And if you look at this almost as a box full of stuff you have in your attic, okay, long-term memories. And what happens when you see this, when something's happening, there's a stress response, there's something that feels threatening, you get the box and you're going through it and sorting through it, and you're trying to find a memory of something that's similar to what's happening in front of you. So the brain is trying to associate different things, okay? It starts to become hyper-focused on what's happening right in front of you, and it's trying to sort this out and connect something in your past to tell you if you're gonna be okay or if you're not gonna be okay. This is the stress response. Now, it's doing that. You have lost focus on everything else, and now it's connecting to emotions. When it finds a memory that's similar, it connects to emotions. Those emotions are, this is good or this is bad. So now you're gonna start to be flooded with what's going on. You're starting to come up with a thought, and your language center is connected to your emotions. So all your word choices are gonna be a little bit more exaggerated, a little bit more protected. So everything is going to be affected, if this makes sense. So this amygdala response is there. It sends a message to the hypothalamus. Now I'm going to show you the hypothalamus. If I go, the hypothalamus is, oops, we're going to go back. The hypothalamus is this little area, the circle above the bottom amygdala. There's your hypothalamus right there. Okay, so if I come back, this is the command center. Now, this is the command center because it tells the body what to do by actually communicating with the autonomic nervous system. I've explained this to you in the next bullet. The autonomic nervous system, it controls all of our involuntary bodily functions. So these are the things that we don't cue off and we don't control. So it controls our breathing, our blood pressure, our heartbeat, our initial response or reaction to something. So this unconscious response in the brain, what I want you to understand from this slide is stress is unconscious. And this is what's happening before you have even formed a thought. So it's incredible, okay? Now what we wanna do next is I wanna show you the effects of stress. So when you have a stress response, here's what starts to happen. There are 4 things. There are cognitive, physical, behavioral, and emotional. Cognitive, you start to have a brain fog. You can't think, you can't sort things out. There's not a lot of concentrating. Also, those short-term memory doesn't actually go back to the long-term memory. So you can't remember things that have recently happened. Your attention and focus is off, okay? And it's sometimes hard to get this back. Physically, you'll have less energy, your diet will change, you could lose sleep. You just don't have that sense of vitality or energy or happiness going on. Behaviorally, you tend to avoid things. A lot of people will avoid. People take big risks. There's a lot more conflict and arguing. You could even feel bouts of anxiety, depression, days where you just feel you're breaking down. There's like an emptiness or sadness, and you can even become numb to others. Now, these are normal responses to stress. So if any of these are happening, it's normal. It just means there's a stress going on and everybody's affected by it. Okay. You might see these in others and you might see them in yourself. What I want to make you do is understand how to rewire yourself, not to use this discussion that we're having today to rewire somebody else. You need to learn how to rewire yourself first. And as soon as you rewire yourself, you can then start to help people through your experience of how to do it for somebody else. Okay. Here's how we use stress. And if we take those responses, I want to rework those same responses. So we're going to rework cognitive, physical, behavioral, and emotional. If we work the cognitive, what I want you to do is start focusing. So in a way to start focusing is just to relax and concentrate and allow insights. Now we can start focusing whenever we want, and we've been able to do this in the past. You just need to actually choose to do this, okay? So if you're too tired, it doesn't happen. So we want to put all of these together. So we want to start focusing, give ourselves time to relax, and then start focusing, and focusing on less things helps. So when I make my list for the to-do today, I don't have 12 things on it, I have 2 or 3 things on it. That way I know that I can focus on those things and I can relax and just get those things accomplished. So I'm not trying to do too much. Now, physically, do what gives you energy. And if you will, in the chat box, go ahead and type something in there that gives you energy. I'm really curious, and I think it's really good for other people to see new ideas. So type what gives you energy, like going for a run or a walk, taking a walk. That's proven by science to reduce your stress. Okay, exercise, great. Gardening, walking, art, those are fantastic. Cardio, great. Getting outside, walking with a funny podcast. I love that, Kim. Play, using humor. I love that, Asha. So I love to use play as how I just be silly about things, go about things with a little less intensity, less seriousness. Play helps you as well. These are great ideas, and we can use each other's ideas. So if you do what gives you energy and you do that once a day, music and dancing, I like that. If you actually put time in to do what gives you energy once a day, at least, you're then giving back. So all the stressors that reduce your energy, you'll be giving back. And it's really important to learn to do this, because when you give yourself back energy, it's going to increase your success. Okay, because you can feel better about what you're doing during the day. Now, brain food. I do an entire discussion on brain food and food in your brain. Okay, you can also do research and Google this or email me questions. But brain food, certain foods are better for your brain to make you more productive, to make you more relaxed. And there's a lot of research on this. So the right foods will really help you. Okay, sleep. Sleep is amazing, okay, to help you reduce the stress and use that to actually be a higher performer. And I have a slide on this that's coming up, okay? Rewards are necessary, and I cannot underestimate that. You can't underestimate the idea of rewards. Even sleep could be a reward for getting through your day. And I'm going to tell you that myself, every Sunday, I create a reward that I'm going to give myself on Friday if I even get 70% of what my goals are accomplished. So I get that reward, and it gives me that dopamine hit, and it's that excitement to keep going. If I don't give myself a reward, I feel a little bit more anxious that I didn't get everything done. I feel like I'm getting a little bit depressed that I'm never getting ahead. And so I want you to be able to use what I'm telling you and give yourself rewards, because they're necessary in the brain. It's almost like Pavlov's dog. Okay, so use the rewards. They're very necessary. Okay, weekly rewards. Find ways to understand others. This is really important. And this is another thing most people don't do. This really helps you. So a lot of people's stress is based on other people's stress. So if you have a conflict for somebody, okay, this is a really interesting thing. If you have a conflict with somebody, if you learn to understand that person, it reduces your stress in your body. Okay, that's one way to create massive success and massive performance leaps, is to understand others. And there's a lot of research being done on this currently at Harvard and other areas. But finding ways to understand others, it's something that we call empathy. And it's the difference between a good and a great leader. Okay, so there's a cause and effect. If somebody's stressed and you have a conflict with them, there's an effect on you. And that you shouldn't underestimate, because it really does bring down your performance. It brings down your engagement and your energy. Using kindness has been proven to increase your success. People who have a big network and who are using kindness in their business usually are generally more successful. There's a lot of studies on this as well. So if you want any of these studies, just email me. And focusing on your goal. These behavioral things that people ignore and don't realize will really reduce our stress and increase our success. So emotionally, this is one I like to capitalize on, and I choose to teach everybody that I do coaching with. You can deliberately choose your thoughts, and I like to teach everybody how to do this. You can choose to be excited to be alive every day you wake up. You can choose to take time off, which really increases your performance, okay? And you can choose to do stress reduction. In fact, the other day I went into my office and a lot of people had asked me, I work at a co-working space, and people who ask me, who are pretty much workaholics, they keep asking me how they are going to improve their performance. And I said, have you ever considered honestly taking time off? Your brain needs that time off to kind of reset. If you push stressful times, it starts to give out and it starts to become more and more depressed. And if you notice yourself have anxiety or a little bit of depression for more than 2 weeks, it's really important to take time off, because that can lead to increased depression, which is harder to get out of. Okay, and sometimes it's not possible to get out of without help. So if you notice something happening for 2 weeks, it's really important to take time off, because it's harder than to deliberately choose your thoughts. So to use stress to increase success, we want to start focusing, doing what gives you energy, finding ways to understand others, and trying to choose our thoughts, which is really important, okay? Next, sleep is the latest casualty of COVID and the recent events. So sleep implications can be very severe, and the effects would be similar to inability to focus or irritability. There are a lot more effects than this, but I just put 2 of them on here. Now, one thing I can tell you, there's some keys to this. If you're having some sleep issues, try to avoid napping, keep a regular sleep schedule. And one thing good sleepers do is they don't try, keyword, to go to sleep if they're awake in the middle of the night. They don't try. Trying is the thing that's going to make it more ineffective. There's a lot more information on this, but avoid naps, keeping a regular schedule, and not trying to go back to sleep, getting up and doing something, and then just allowing your body to go back to sleep. You want to actually create a sleep debt that allows your body to just need that sleep. That's why you don't want to keep doing a nap, having a nap. Now, this is amazing. The research done on sleep, I'll give you a little bit more information. If you have a routine for sleep, it delivers results. Sleep improves your performance. It actually increases your metabolism, which helps you lose weight. It also reduces your reaction time. So when somebody says something and you need to make a quick decision, it's going to reduce your reaction time. It's also going to reduce your reaction time to actually making decisions in general at work. You're going to be able to get a lot more done the more sleep you get. And we could take lessons from some elite or pro athletes. Most of them get between 10 and 12 hours of sleep. In fact, Roger Federer says if you don't sleep 11 to 12 hours a day, it's not right. Usain Bolt gets 11 to 12 hours. Let's see, Serena Williams gets 11 hours a day. In fact, they say that's their hardest thing to do, is make sure that they sleep that many hours, a lot of these elite athletes. But they have found that it increases their performance a lot, and that's why they all do it. So routines deliver results. So keep that in mind. And I put a picture of a baby here, because when we do have a baby, we understand when they're sleeping, they're growing. And that's important for us to know. Our brain needs that downtime to start to unfocus. And that unfocused time starts to reset things. That rejuvenates our body, gets us back into a normal schedule where we can be more positive during the day. And you actually are a lot better performer. So sleep is very important. Now, the stress changes the brain function and cell structure. This is a brain image from an MRI. Here's a normal brain on the left, and on the right is a brain that's gone through PTSD, some traumatic experience. Now, I will let you know that scientists right now are studying the brain and what we've just gone through, and if it's similar, and they're questioning if what we've gone through with COVID is similar to PTSD, because it's been such a stressor. Now, I want you to see the structure of the brain is very different. In the lower left of the PTSD brain and the lower right, you'll see a lack of brain structure right there. The color of the brain is a lot more gray, it's less dense. So the dendrites and the neural pathways are actually dying off. They're a lot less. So on the left-hand brain, they're more dense, they're more alive, and there's more cell structure here. Notice also that the actual size of the brain has changed. On the left, it goes all the way out to the skull, and on the right, there's a gap between here. So stress literally changes the cell structure and function. It crosses the cell membrane and will even start to change the cell DNA. Okay, so we want to understand that. Now, here is how we're going to start to rewire. Every thought that you have rewires the brain. This is really important to understand, okay? And how you perceive your well-being is very important. And the key word I capitalized, which is perceive, okay? The 5 areas of well-being that are generally accepted by most scientists, some say there's 6 or 8, some say there's 5, are financial, physical, sense of purpose, social, and career satisfaction. Now, what I want you to understand from this slide is something very simple. When any one area of well-being goes down, say you're threatened with your financial well-being is threatened, or your physical, you're not sleeping well, or you're not doing meaningful work, or maybe you have under social is a healthy relationship. If any area of well-being goes down, it affects every area of well-being. So your sense of success goes down everywhere. But conversely, if one area of well-being goes up, all areas of well-being improve. So if you can improve just one area and find something that's a little bit out of whack, it will help you to increase that or improve that, will increase your success in every area. They've also found that stress is correlated to any one of these areas being out of harmony. So these are the areas that are creating stress for us in our life. Spirituality is another one that I didn't put on here, but it's the next one if we want to use that one. Okay. Now, continued uncertainty leads to greater and greater anxiety. Now, if you've noticed, heightened reactivity, that's what you'll have: behavioral cognitive avoidance, hypervigilance, and increased threat expectancy. This is actually pretty much what everybody is experiencing right now. In order to rewire this, we want to understand that continued uncertainty can lead to, what do you want it to lead to? Let's have everybody put in the chat box, if you would, this uncertainty, if you can use this, what do you want? What do you want to create? Go ahead and put in the chat box what you want to create by this. What is something that you want the uncertainty to lead to? Do you want to be more resilient? Do you want to have more meaning in your life? What would you like to choose to change? Anybody? Go ahead and type in the chat box, new opportunities and possibilities, growth, to have a better work-life balance. That's fantastic. That's really good. I mean, that's underrated, right? Better routines and exercise, a successful, fulfilling career. That's fantastic. Slowing down and appreciating life more. It's great. Okay, so a focus on the essential, discard the superfluous. That's great. To get a little bit deeper with the meaning in things. Now you can use this. When I'm asking you this question, where is this question coming from? When you're actually saying to focus on a fulfilling career, where is that coming from in your body? Is it coming from your head? Where is it coming from? Where's that answer coming from? Can you find it? your head, or is it coming from your gut or your chest, your stomach? Okay, think about your answer. Where is it coming from? Resilience and growth, learn from a current experience and make the future life better. Your gut and your heart, your head, okay? And so when it's coming from your gut, your chest, your heart, those things are going to signify an intrinsic motivation. It's something that you, when you establish that you really want that, you'll be able to create it a lot faster. More creativity, more calm, more connection. That's great. And so now what we want to do is we want to use that stress and harness that energy to create what we want. And that's not that hard to do as soon as you figure out what you want and you're clear on it. Okay? The master key, this is how to do it, is hidden in thought. Now there's 3 slides that I want to talk to you about, and then we're going to have a few slides before we end. But all thoughts have power. All thoughts have power. Okay. Now I'm going to put a poll out there, and I launched a poll, and if you could actually answer this, what percentage of your thoughts do you think repeat daily? Go ahead and answer that. I put a poll out, and I will then post the answers. Okay. I'll post the answers. What percentage of your thoughts repeat daily? Okay. We have 13 people responding. Almost everybody's responding. Okay, what percentage of your thoughts repeat? Okay. 80% of people have voted. Give everybody just a couple more seconds. Okay, so we'll end the poll, and I'm going to share the results. Okay, so I'm sharing the results, and what 90% of the people, 31% think 90% of your thoughts repeat, and 31% think 71% of your thoughts repeat. So what I will tell you is 95% of your thoughts repeat every day. And your thoughts are actually what you are and who you are. And I want to share this with you right here. This slide here, this picture, when you have a thought, it sends a message down the dendrite, okay? And then it connects to another dendrite in the synapses. This actually creates brain cell function and cell structure. So repeated thoughts create stronger and stronger connections. That's why I put this slide here. So every thought that you have creates a stronger and stronger connection, and it makes it more likely that you'll do that thought. So thoughts are very powerful, very, very powerful. Now, all of your thoughts are for or against you. Now, what do you think, how many thoughts that you have are positive or negative? Okay, let's see. What do you think your thoughts are positive or negative? Positive or negative? I'll tell you that 80% of your thoughts are actually negative. Your thoughts are for or against you. For or against you, 80% are negative. Now here's something important to know, that you choose your thoughts. Now I put this picture of ice cream here because chocolate or vanilla ice cream, you're either choosing chocolate or vanilla. You choose, I want to think this, you choose, I want to think that. Every day you wake up, and even if you wake up and there's some anxiety, you get to choose what you're thinking. You get to choose to change it, okay? Now, I do a lot of coaching and team development coaching. And one of the things that I've done is I work with the team at the US Forest Service that works right under Trump. And they had a project that they were doing to do logging in Alaska. A lot of the people lived in Alaska and had to work with their neighbors, and actually put this out for public announcement that they were going to log in Alaska, and they were going to send the logs or the timber to China. Now you can understand that this project, it was directly under Trump. He was changing the deadlines and the goals constantly. The people were not able to take weekends off or even holidays. So there was a lot of burnout, a lot of public uproar, and team conflict and internal conflict. After 3 days of training about how to control your thoughts and kind of what I'm teaching you now, 100% of the people found that they had a reduction in stress, they increased their collaboration, and they were accountable for their thoughts and how they showed up differently. In fact, one of the people texted me, the person who hired me, and said that he was sitting on a plane in Alaska coming back to Denver. He said he wanted to let me know that he just got through the most 2 difficult months of his whole life or career. And he couldn't have gotten through it without the tools that we had discussed. And so you can't even begin to understand when you change your thoughts how much it can affect you. So this brain change framework, which we've actually already gone through, this is a review, okay? The first one is to slow down and stop. And when I asked you where you are, if you're in your home office, if you're in Denver, that's something where you started to slow down. That's an idea of how to put that into context. It actually improves your positive psychology and your perspective, okay? What do you want? When I asked you this, it's really important to put this into a high definition. And this becomes a whole body experience. Like, what do you want? This starts to change the brain chemistry and get you motivated, especially if it comes from your gut, okay, or your chest. But if you really want it and you put it into high definition, almost like a video going in your head, the brain starts to wire around that. And it starts to wire to create that. That's very important. And this is how you change your outcome, okay? The next one is what would you like to achieve? Like, what are your strengths? Think of any kind of peak experience that you've had. And when you think of that peak experience, the brain will actually embody that feeling just by thinking about it. So when you think about that, it gives you that adrenaline, it gives you that motivation to do it. Think about a really good experience, and that helps you achieve these new things that you want to create. The last one is something that I have found in spirituality as well as neuroscience and behavior is if you take a break from trying, just lean back. This is harder than you think. It changes the neurochemistry in your brain and it allows the brain to do that for you. Sometimes too much trying gets in the way, okay? And so what I want to do is I want you to, if I could motivate everybody on this call to do 2 things, I would love to be able to motivate you and have you go to my website, okay, themasterscourse.com/resource-1, and download these resources. There are worksheets that help you rewire your brain, including your stress response and goal charts and things like this, okay? You can download mindfulness recordings that will help you rewire your brain. And then there's going to be a YouTube recording of this presentation on there that you can revisit. So what I would love for everybody to do is go to themastercourse.com, and I'll type it in the chat box, themasterscourse.com/resource-1, okay? If you do that and then download the resources and the recordings, okay, that would be fantastic. You guys all can use those. They're free to everybody who has taken this course. The next thing I would love for you to do is sign up for the next course. This is my information. In the next course, you can sign up at themasterscourse.com/Microsoft. And here I'm going to give you a little sneak peek about what it is. This is the next course, okay? And you can register for this. I'm putting this in the chat box as well, okay? The next course is we're going to talk about neuroscience and uncertainty, how to use this focus and unfocus, how to ask your brain the right questions, the story of time, and how that affects your success, okay? What are your derailers? Like, what gets you off base, okay? And how do you measure your success? So these are things I use in my coaching practice with my clients. And these really help you to rewire your brain and make you more successful. So if I can have you do 2 things, and I put these both in the chat, okay? You can download the resources and sign up for the next course. The next course is at masterscourse.com/Microsoft, okay? And it's called The Neuroscience of Uncertainty. And then I'll go back 2 slides. And these are the resources. You're going to go to the website and you're going to see worksheets and click on that, mindfulness recordings, and then the YouTube recordings will be there. So please go ahead and download those, and hopefully I will see you in the next course. If you have any questions for me, go ahead and put them in the chat box, and I'd be happy to stay on and answer those questions. But I would like to thank everybody for coming. I hope that you got a little bit out of this. Thank you for joining me. And please invite your friends. Invite your friends to the next course. There will be more resources for you to download. So thank you very much for coming. I hope everybody enjoyed this a lot. Yeah, you are welcome. So download those resources. They will help you put this to practice. Sarah, thank you. I hope you're hooked. Please feel free to email me. I will put again my email in the chat box if you have any questions. And let's go. We'll just end up right here.